Have you ever noticed how a newborn will sometimes copy the face right in front of them? You stick out your tongue, and a few seconds later, they do it too. You open your mouth, and they open theirs. It feels like magic, but that tiny moment may be hiding something much bigger. A clue about how the human brain is wired. A clue about survival, and maybe even the very beginning of empathy. First, let's name what's happening. Psychologists call it imitation, and in newborns, it's often described as neonatal imitation, which simply means copying another person's facial movement, almost immediately after seeing it. What makes this so fascinating is how early it seems to appear. We're not talking about a 6-month-old baby who's already been watching faces for weeks. We're talking about babies who have been alive for barely any time at all. Back in 1977, psychologist Andrew Meltzoff ran a famous experiment. He showed very young newborns a few simple facial gestures: sticking out the tongue, opening the mouth, puckering the lips, and the results shocked a lot of people. The babies often appeared to copy what they saw, not because they were hungry, not because they were crying, not because they were startled, but because, somehow, they seemed to connect another person's face to their own body. Let that sink in for a second. A baby who has only just entered the world may already be trying to match what another human is doing. So how is that even possible? How can a baby with such an immature brain see a face, recognize a movement, and then coordinate their own muscles to do something similar? This is where the story gets really interesting. One of the biggest ideas used to explain this is something called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are brain cells that respond both when you do something and when you watch someone else do that same thing. The idea first became famous in the 1990s, when researchers at the University of Parma in Italy were studying monkeys. They noticed that certain neurons fired when a monkey grabbed an object. But then something strange happened. Those same neurons also fired when the monkey simply watched a researcher grab the object. In other words, the monkey's brain responded not only to action, but also to observed action. Seeing and doing were linked. That discovery changed the way scientists thought about the social brain, and it gave people a powerful way to think about why babies might imitate faces so early. The basic idea is simple. When a baby sees a smile, the brain may activate a matching pattern for smiling. When a baby sees a tongue stick out, the brain may activate a matching pattern for that too. It's not just random movement. It may be the brain translating what it sees into something the body can understand. Almost like the baby's nervous system is saying, I know that movement. I can try that too. And if that's true, then imitation is not just a cute trick. It's a deep biological process. But here's the bigger question. Why would humans evolve this ability in the first place? Why would nature care whether a newborn can copy a face? Because human babies are born incredibly dependent. Compared with many other animals, we arrive unfinished. A baby giraffe can stand not long after birth. A baby elephant can move with the herd. A human baby can't do any of that. Human infants survive only because someone stays close, pays attention, and keeps caring for them. And that's where imitation may matter more than we realize. When a baby mirrors a parent's face, something powerful happens. The parent feels seen, connected, drawn in. That tiny copied expression can strengthen bonding in a way words never could. It makes the interaction feel alive, reciprocal, almost like a conversation before language exists. So from an evolutionary point of view, imitation may have helped babies do something essential: keep adults emotionally engaged, pull caregivers closer, increase the odds of protection, warmth, and care. In that sense, copying a face is not just adorable. It may be a survival strategy. But it doesn't stop there. Because imitation may also be the first building block of empathy. Think about your own life for a second. When you see someone looking devastated, your own face may tighten a little. When someone smiles warmly at you, you might smile back without even noticing. That's not just politeness. Your brain is constantly reading other people and subtly echoing them. And those tiny facial shifts send feedback back into your brain. That feedback helps you feel what the other person might be feeling: sadness, joy, tension, relief. In other words, part of understanding emotion may begin with quietly copying it. That's why these early baby moments matter so much. The baby who mirrors a parent's smile may not just be playing. They may be practicing one of the most important human skills there is. Learning how to connect inner feeling with another person's face. Learning that minds can meet. And here's something even more fascinating. Babies don't seem to copy everything equally. Research suggests they may respond more readily to some expressions than others. Positive expressions, like warm interest or smiling, often draw stronger engagement, but harsh, angry, or frightening expressions may be copied less. Or sometimes avoided. That matters, because it suggests babies are not just passive little mirrors, reflecting whatever is in front of them. They may already be filtering social information in ways that support safety and connection. Even very early in life, the brain may be sorting out what feels inviting and what feels threatening. That is remarkable. It means the baby's mind is not empty. It is active, selective, already trying to make sense of the human world. And scientists are still exploring just how important this process is for later development. Some researchers have looked at whether differences in imitation might be related to later social development. For example, in some children with autistic traits, the development of systems involved in imitation and social mirroring may unfold differently. And that may be one reason social signals can feel harder to read or respond to. This does not mean a simple facial test can define a child. Human development is always more complex than that. But it does help explain why researchers are so interested in early imitation. Because those tiny responses may offer clues about how the social brain is developing. So now, when you see a baby copy a face, it hits differently. It's not just a funny moment. It's not just something cute to record on your phone. It may be evolution at work. A newborn brain trying to build a bridge to another mind. A survival instinct wrapped in a tiny expression. The first spark of empathy. The first rehearsal for human connection. A baby sees a smile and tries to make one. A baby sees curiosity and leans toward it. A baby sees a face and, in the smallest possible way, says, "I'm with you." And maybe that's what makes it feel so emotional to watch. Because long before words, long before memory, long before a child can explain anything, connection is already happening. Face to face, nervous system to nervous system, mind to mind. So if there's a baby in your life, try this sometime. Slow down, get close, stick out your tongue, open your mouth, lift your eyebrows, and watch carefully. You might see that little pause, that intense stare, that moment of effort, and then, maybe, the baby copies you. If it happens, don't brush it off as just a random reflex. You may be watching one of the oldest forms of human communication there is. A silent exchange that existed long before language. A tiny act that helps build trust, bonding, and emotional understanding. Because in the end, a baby copying your face is not just imitation. It's the beginning of relationship. The beginning of empathy. The beginning of a human being learning how to belong. And all of that can start with something as small as a smile.